In one of the most fascinating corners of the planet lie some remote and little-known islands, as mysterious as the Bermuda Triangle, an archipelago hidden among the crystal-clear waters of the Indian Ocean, known as the Andaman Islands. A wild and hostile place home to a forbidden island known as North Sentinel, an islet where time stopped thousands of years ago, where the inhabitants live completely isolated from the rest of the world, do not use clothing or technology, and are willing to kill anyone who tries to enter. A lost paradise worthy of novels such as Robinson Crusoe, full of virgin jungles, idyllic beaches, very low prices, and very few tourists lucky enough to enjoy its wonders. A place as exotic as it is remote, where the locals look at you as if you were an alien, with hundreds of islands that have never been mapped or set foot on by humans, and a magical natural environment, with fish and flying dragons and mysterious lights that streak across the waters. A region where giant crocodiles live, and waters full of mysteries have led many to refer to the area as the Andaman Triangle. Get ready to discover the mysteries and beauty of the Andaman Islands in this new video from Uncensored World. Let's get started. In the heart of Southeast Asia, hidden in the emerald waters of the beautiful Andaman Sea, lie a group of islands that very few people know about. A true paradise of unique wonders and mysteries that we are now going to discover. This archipelago, which is part of India, is located in the Bay of Bengal, off the coast of Myanmar and near southern Thailand. The Andaman Islands have more than 570 islands and islets, but most are uninhabited, or at least it is unknown who inhabits them, as many have not been mapped, and their interior remains a mystery. Some of these islands are protected by law and closed to tourism to preserve their biodiversity and ancestral ways of life, and among them is an island that is forbidden for a terrible reason. It is a lethal enclave, considered the most dangerous island on the planet, not only because attempting to reach it can cost you your life, but also because contact with those who live there can be deadly. Later on, we will explore all these details, and you will learn how and when people have attempted to access the island and the tragedies that have occurred as a result. As you will see when we get to it, among the most tragic cases is that of a young missionary who tried to enter alone to spread the gospel. His body was never recovered. But not everything is forbidden or inaccessible in this paradise, and we will soon discover its most famous and inhabited islands. The low population density has been key to preserving many unspoiled corners, allowing its jungles, reefs, and beaches to remain seemingly untouched by time. That is why the Andaman Islands are home to one of the most beautiful coral reefs on the planet. Although not the largest, it is considered by many to be the most colorful and diverse, and a treasure trove for expert and novice divers alike. Havlock, for example, offers diving courses at very reasonable prices, making this island one of the dream destinations for those who want to explore the underwater world. However, if you are lucky enough to visit these islands one day, don't jump into the water to dive or snorkel without knowing the area well, as some of its coasts are home to saltwater crocodiles. These are the largest and most dangerous crocodiles on the planet. There are signs and even guards warning of their presence, but they are not on all beaches, so it is very important to find out before venturing out alone. In the past decade, there have been attacks in areas such as Radhanagar Beach, probably the most beautiful beach in the archipelago. Its white sand, tropical jungle, and sunsets make it one of the most beautiful beaches in the world. A few steps away is the so-called Elephant Beach, where you can see these majestic animals walking freely along the shore, and locals who take care of them and occasionally bathe them in the sea. Unfortunately, this area has also been the scene of tragic encounters with crocodiles. In 2010, a young American woman was attacked while snorkeling in Neil Cove, Havlock. Her body was found days later. Later, in 2017, a local boy died in Wandor after being dragged away by a crocodile. These events led to warnings being reinforced, unsafe beaches being closed, and the attacking crocodile being captured and taken to the Port Blair Zoo. Leaving aside these dangers, which cease to be so if you are informed and pay attention, life on these islands has a different rhythm due to their remote location, the people who live there, and the fact that modernity has only reached certain points. That is why visiting these islands is a unique experience of disconnection and enjoyment on the planet. An earthly paradise that we are now going to explore in more detail, so that, if you ever have the opportunity to travel here, you can enjoy it to the fullest. The main gateway to the Andaman Islands is Port Blair, the capital and most populous city in the archipelago. Although it is the most chaotic and least well-maintained in terms of infrastructure, it is also the place where colonial history, museums, and a unique mix of cultures are concentrated. Most of the inhabitants of these islands live in Port Blair, making it the hub of transportation, services, and connections to the rest of the country. In this city, you can visit the famous Cellular Jail, a former prison built by the British to imprison Indian independence fighters. Although its past is harsh, the site has been converted into a museum and national monument that tells the story of India's resistance in a moving and visual way. You can also enjoy local markets, Hindu temples, and mosques, all in an atmosphere that is very different from the rest of mainland India. On these islands, where tourism is almost non-existent, your presence will not go unnoticed, especially if you have Western features. You are likely to arouse a mixture of amazement and curiosity, to the point where you will notice the locals watching you with wide eyes, following you and even approaching you to ask about your life. For them, visitors are like people from another planet, bringing with them a reality so different that it seems otherworldly. A few miles from Port Blair, and always accessible by boat, as it is the only means of transport between the islands, is Havlock, possibly the most sought-after and best-known island among tourists. The ferry ride to get there is an unforgettable experience, sailing across an ocean of turquoise waters where it is not uncommon to see dolphins, whales, and even, with a little luck and paying close attention, flying fish gliding over the sea. A paradise on Earth that looks like something out of a movie like Life of Pi. In fact, given that the film's director is originally from India, it would not be surprising to think that the natural wonders of the Andaman Islands served as inspiration. A place where nature seems magical, inhabited by creatures that appear to be from another world and where, at nightfall, mysterious lights dance across the waters, as if the island itself were breathing ancient secrets. Returning to Havlock, it's good to know that for many backpackers it's a dream destination, as well as for divers, beach lovers, couples, and adventurers. Much of this is due to the fact that this island is home to Radhanagar Beach, considered by many to be one of the most beautiful beaches in the world. Its white sand, turquoise water, and picture-perfect sunsets make it a must-see. Right at the entrance to this beach, you can explore the rainforest and spot wild elephants alongside other native species. If you're lucky, you might even discover the flying dragon, scientifically known as Draco andamanensis, a unique lizard found only in this archipelago. In addition, both Havlock and the entire archipelago are famous for having the second most beautiful coral reef on the planet, and for being one of the most accessible and affordable places to learn to dive. Havlock offers PADI courses in different languages, taught by certified instructors, with prices that, thanks to the low cost of living in India, are much more affordable than in other international destinations. Diving in the waters around these islands is like stepping into a real aquarium. Whether snorkeling or scuba diving, you'll be amazed by the diversity of marine life. Colorful coral snakes, clownfish, sea turtles, and schools of tropical fish that look like something out of a fairy tale. This spectacle of underwater life makes Havlock a dream destination for ocean lovers. Not far from Havlock is Neil Island, one of the jewels of the Andaman Islands for those lucky enough to discover it. A quiet gem with a relaxed atmosphere that makes it ideal for those looking to disconnect from the world. The beaches of Laxmanpur, Bharatpur, and Sitapur are perfect for snorkeling, relaxing, and unforgettable sunrises. The pace of life on Neil Island is slow and quiet, almost as if time has stood still, making it an ideal place for those who want to rest and unwind. On Neil Island, You can rent a bicycle or motorbike and explore the island in a few hours. The locals are very friendly, the food is delicious, and there is plenty of eco-friendly accommodation with sea views. If you decide to continue exploring beyond Neil, you will find Long Island, a much less touristy island where dirt roads, wooden houses, and birdsong will remind you of what the world was like before mass tourism. Here you will find Lalagi Bay, a hidden beach that you can reach after a half-hour walk through the forest. There are no cars, motorcycles, or large hotels on Long Island. Electricity is limited, and dining options are simple. But the feeling of being in an authentic and almost unexplored place is unique. It is a perfect place for those looking to get away from it all and connect with nature in its purest form. Enjoying this island is probably the closest experience to immersing yourself in the realities of novels such as Robinson Crusoe. Its interior is so extraordinary that it only has one hostel for tourists, with a guest book where you can sign your name and discover those of other adventurers who are probably no more than a few hundred. This makes you realize that visiting these islands is a unique experience, as they have hardly been touched by foreign travelers. In the Andamans, there are other islands accessible from Port Blair, such as Baratang, famous for its limestone caves, mangroves, and occasionally mud geysers. It is one of the few places where you can have a jungle experience within an archipelago, with hikes that take you through areas still inhabited by isolated tribes, although not in direct contact, and where human presence is minimal. One of the main advantages of traveling to the Andaman Islands is that, in addition to enjoying a remote and exclusive paradise, as they belong to India, the cost of living is very low. Accommodation, food, transportation, and even diving courses are very affordable compared to other tourist destinations around the world. This makes the Andamans one of the best options for enjoying paradise without spending a fortune. In addition, the ferry network is well organized and allows you to travel between the most important islands safely and quite comfortably. Some boats are slow and old, but offer a very picturesque experience. Others, more modern, allow you to get there faster. It is important to bear in mind that although these islands are paradise, technology is not always available. In many areas, there is no internet connection. The phone signal is weak, and payment must be made in cash. Therefore, it is always advisable to carry Indian rupees, a torch, a good attitude, and a sense of adventure. If you are enjoying this trip to the Andaman Islands, give us a like to encourage us to continue creating content like this every week. Thank you. Now that you know the main islands and what this archipelago has to offer, it is time to delve into its deepest secrets, isolated tribes, forbidden islands, and mysteries that remain unsolved. In the heart of this archipelago lies one of the most mysterious and inaccessible places on the planet, North Sentinel Island. This island, surrounded by crystal clear but unforgiving waters, is home to an ancient tribe that has lived in isolation from the world for thousands of years, perhaps since before written history existed. North Sentinel is the closest inhabited island to the rest of the archipelago, but reaching its shores is a virtually impossible task. Not only is it protected by Indian law, which prohibits approaching within 5 kilometers, but its inhabitants defend their territory with their lives. Today, no boat or drone can fly over or approach without risking death. The island is surrounded by watchmen, and access is strictly controlled to ensure that the modern world does not invade this last, almost untouched human refuge. In the past, especially during the 20th century, there were several attempts by explorers, anthropologists, and missionaries to establish contact with the Sentinelese. It was believed that these attempts were sometimes successful, with gifts being exchanged or signs of communication observed. However, what initially appeared to be a bridge to isolation was, in fact, a disaster. Upon contact with the outside world, the Sentinelese began to suffer from diseases common to us, such as colds and flu, which were lethal to them. These illnesses, so mild for most of us, caused mass deaths in the tribe. Due to their isolation, they were unprepared for these viruses and bacteria, which their immune systems had never encountered before. From then on, the relationship changed forever. The Sentinelese became hostile, convinced that any contact with strangers brought death. This painful memory has been passed down from generation to generation, forming legends that serve to warn them of the dangers of any other human being approaching them. Currently, their numbers are small and could decline even further if the modern world does not respect their territory. They are a people in danger of extinction, living in complete harmony with their environment, and their history reminds us of the fragility of ancient cultures. A few years ago, a young missionary attempted to reach North Sentinel with the intention of bringing them the gospel. His arrival was fatal. The missionary disappeared without a trace, and this tragedy once again underscored that the island does not want to be changed or invaded. This story leaves us with an important lesson. The Sentinelese do not seek our lifestyle or our technology. They just want to live in peace, in their own way and under their own rules. While the modern world must respect this wish, the scientific community looks at North Sentinel with fascination. They believe that these tribes may hold answers that are still unknown to us, such as secrets about immunity, natural medicine, or human evolution. In addition to the Sentinelese, there are other tribes in the Andaman Islands that also maintain an ancestral lifestyle. Some of these communities can be seen on organized excursions, always from a distance and with great respect. However, it is vital to remember that these tribes do not understand, nor do they want to, cameras or cell phones, and there have been cases where visitors who took photos were attacked with arrows, as their cameras were mistaken for weapons. Among these tribes are the Onge, Jarawa, and Shampen, each with their own customs, language, and ways of life that date back thousands of years. Many do not wear any clothing due to the tropical climate, as is the case with the men and women of the Northern Sentinel. The lives of these ancestral tribes revolve around hunting, fishing, and gathering, using techniques that have been passed down from generation to generation. They hunt with bows and arrows, fish with rudimentary nets, and gather fruits and roots from the surrounding forest. Life in these tribes is a clear reminder of the diversity of human beings and how we are able to adapt to our environment. They are a living testimony to cultures that survive in an increasingly globalized world, ethnic groups and tribes that we at the channel hope will continue to live happily in the future. At this point in the documentary, we would like to ask you, would you dare to visit North Sentinel? Or would you prefer to enjoy its inhabited islands, beaches, and wonderful waters? Do you think humans should contact and modernize these ancestral tribes? Pause the video and leave us your comments. You know that doing so is the best way to support Uncensored World, so that we can continue working every week to bring you content as interesting as this. So, thank you. Sentinel Island is considered by many to be the most deadly island on the planet, a place that is best avoided, both for our own safety and for the respect and safety of its inhabitants. But within the Andaman archipelago, this island is not the only mysterious place, far from it. There are many reasons why locals know this area as the Andaman Triangle, due to often inexplicable phenomena that lead them to believe that this corner of the ocean has a lot to do with the mythical Bermuda Triangle. This Andaman Triangle comprises a maritime region where, according to local accounts and sailors, strange disappearances of boats, unexplained lights, and phenomena that defy scientific logic have occurred. Some of these stories date back decades and are part of the maritime folklore of the area. For example, years ago, a ship called the MV Scotia disappeared without explanation after setting sail from Port Blair and never reaching its destination. Official accounts attribute its loss to storms, but local fishermen say that the waters in that area can become eerily silent just before boats disappear. These legends are complemented by accounts of mysterious lights that appear and disappear at sea, especially on moonless nights. They are described as balls of fire or blue flashes floating on the water, quickly moving away toward the horizon or illuminating areas where no one can explain them. In addition, on the island of Bacalar, famous for its lush forests and almost supernatural surroundings, ghostly apparitions and strange phenomena among the trees have been reported, adding further mystery to this enigmatic reality. Some locals claim to have seen spectral figures walking at dusk, or heard voices with no one else around, stories that have been passed down from generation to generation. The mystery of these lights in the sea has also been studied by scientists and paranormal enthusiasts. Some hypotheses point to natural phenomena such as bioluminescence caused by marine organisms, gases emerging from the ocean floor, or even the reflection of lights from distant ships in special atmospheric conditions. On the other hand, stories of ghosts and apparitions in the forests could be linked to ancestral beliefs and indigenous legends, which speak of spirits protecting nature or guardians of sacred places, thus conveying a deep connection between the local culture and the natural environment. Another curiosity related to the Andaman Triangle is reports of strange sounds, such as distant singing, bells, or echoes that seem to come from the sea or the depths of the jungle, sounds that do not correspond to any known creature, and that intensify the mysterious atmosphere of this area. Whether truth or legend, the Andaman Triangle remains one of the best-kept secrets of the Indian Ocean. If you've made it this far, you're probably interested in finding out how to visit this lost paradise. With this in mind, Uncensored World has done some thorough research and is now ready to tell you how you can get there and enjoy the Andaman Islands to the fullest. The Andaman Islands belong to India, so if you are coming from Europe or America, the most common route is to fly to New Delhi or Mumbai, two of the main gateways to the country. From there, the most practical option is to take a domestic flight to Port Blair, the capital of the archipelago and the only airport on the islands. It is also possible to arrive by boat from Indian ports such as Chennai, although the journey can take between 3 and 5 days, and the sea in that area is not usually very calm. This is a valid option for the more adventurous, but it is not the most comfortable or fastest. Once in Port Blair, the real journey between islands begins. To get to places such as Havlock, Neil Island, or Long Island, the only option is to take a ferry. Although there are daily services, they are not very frequent, and it is essential to get up early and arrive at the ticket office in advance, because there is no strict culture of queuing here, quite the contrary. Therefore, if you are not paying attention, even if you are first in line, you are likely to be overtaken by everyone else as soon as the ticket office opens. Sometimes there is only one boat a day to each island, so it is advisable to plan your schedule carefully. As for visas, India allows visa on arrival for citizens of many countries with a standard validity of 30 days, which is enough time to explore the islands at your leisure. The process is easy and can be completed online before traveling. One of the biggest advantages of traveling to the Andamans is the cost. India is one of the cheapest destinations in the world, which makes even this remote paradise very affordable. Dinner for two at a local restaurant can cost between $8 and $15. A full hour in a tuk-tuk, touring the area and chatting with the driver, costs around $5, which is truly astonishing. For locals, the price is usually even lower, but it is understandable to pay a little more if you come from a very different economic reality, although it is best to negotiate the price in advance for almost everything. Accommodation is also surprisingly affordable. You can sleep in beautiful beachfront cabins for between $10 and $40 a night, and if you book in advance, there are even cheaper options. However, these places tend to fill up quickly in high season. Getting around between islands is also very cheap. Ferry prices are usually between $2 and $8 depending on the route and the type of seat. The best thing is that, as we said, the journey itself is part of the show. As while you watch dolphins, flying fish, and even whales, you can see the locals watching you, turning each trip into a little adventure. On islands such as Neil Island, there are hardly any vehicles. Everything is within walking distance and most people get around on foot or by bicycle. The atmosphere is completely peaceful, inviting you to relax and forget about the outside world. Port Blair, on the other hand, is much more chaotic and bustling. This is where most of the archipelago's population lives, and its atmosphere is more similar to that of other Indian cities. Traffic, noise, and a certain amount of disorder although there is also charm in its chaotic rhythm and interesting places to explore. As you have seen, Havlock is the island best equipped for tourism, with beaches that are among the most beautiful in the world, such as Radhanagar Beach. It has the best hotel infrastructure in the archipelago, and is ideal for both those seeking relaxation and those who want to enjoy activities such as diving or snorkeling. In terms of safety, these islands are very safe. India has more complex areas, but the Andaman archipelago is peaceful and hospitable. The only exception, as you already know, is North Sentinel, a place you should avoid completely. One last important detail. As you now know, there are giant saltwater crocodiles on some islands, especially in areas such as Little Andaman. They are not common, but they can be dangerous. It is therefore essential to check with the locals before swimming in certain areas. On other islands, however, there are no crocodiles, and it is completely safe to enjoy the sea. As you can see, the Andaman Islands are not just any destination. They are a world apart, a corner of the planet where life flows according to different rules, and where it is still possible to find places so unspoiled that they seem to have come straight out of an adventure novel. At Uncensored World, we hope this video has helped you discover the Andaman Islands, one of the most beautiful, unknown, and mysterious regions on the planet. If so, don't hesitate to give us a like and leave a comment. It's the best way to help us continue working every week to bring you more interesting content like this. Or like this video, which you can watch now, to discover another of the most mysterious and beautiful places on the planet. Click on it. You're going to enjoy it.